return to the issue of bond. Mr. Dean, I have received your request for restriction of certain information. The court has reviewed it. If there's anything you'd like to say, well, first is the defense's motion. Ms. Walker.
Your Honor, just briefly, of course, Ms. Simon was born and raised here locally. She is 23 years old. Speaking to the statutory factors, just briefly, Your Honor, we would say to the court that she is not a flight risk, one, because she lives here, two, because throughout this investigation, she remained here locally, knowing that she was a person of interest in this investigation, and that she is presently under a defects case plan, which I will not get into the details of, other than to say that she has every incentive to remain in this county pursuant to that plan in order to reunite with the children, and certainly that would be her hope. Your Honor, she is also not a threat or a danger to an individual or the community because as a result of that case plan, she will be monitored and supervised at a very intense level by people who have a high level of skill to do so. So concerns that the court may have based on the allegations in this indictment should be factored in related to that case plan, Judge, and that she's not at risk of committing a felony because she has no felony history and is presumed innocent of charge, of course, Your Honor. And finally, that there's no evidence that she would have the ability or desire to intimidate any potential witnesses. Simply being related to some of the witnesses in this case does not rise to the level of that concern, Your Honor. And so for all of those reasons, we would be asking the court to adopt essentially what the defects case plan is. We'd be happy to provide a copy of that to the court if the court is so inclined to grant bonds so that the court could conform its order to the defects case plan. It's our position that there are provisions therein such as drug treatment, et cetera, which will support her while she would be on the outside. Furthermore, Judge, that we have a location for her to live that is safe, it is out of county, and as the court knows, this has been a very highly investigated and focused upon case in media and social media, and so we would not provide that address to the court for fear about Ms. Simon's safety. As the court knows, she has been harassed by various members of the public who knew her prior address, and so we're very concerned about her safety should she be released, and we'd be happy to provide that to the court, but certainly not in open court, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean.
Your Honor, as the court has referenced yesterday afternoon, I emailed the court the state's 9-page response to petition for bond, which I then filed in open court and served on the defense this morning. They were, of course, copied on the emailed version yesterday. In that filing, which will be restricted because it contains sensitive information that ought not be released, I believe that the state has both preemptively responded pretty conclusively to some of the arguments just articulated by counsel, and also made certain other factual and legal arguments about the defendant's unsuitability for pretrial release in this case. And with that, I will rest on the written filing.
All right, thank you. In consideration of the information that was presented from the defense and from the state, the court will deny bond based on the risk that she would commit a felony while on bond, and there's risk of flight as well. So with that, bond is denied. Thank you. Now, let's move into arraignment at this point. You have the client come forward.
And Your Honor, if you may, we'll come to the podium, but our intention today is to ask, rather than for arraignment, because we believe there's, thank you, some conflict in the case law as to whether or not entering arraignment today would waive the demurrers that she's filed. Of course, the court is aware we filed 2 demurrers. One is a special demurrer as to counts 1, 2, and 3 of this indictment, and a general demurrer as to counts 10, 12, 14, and 17. So what we'll be asking for today is for the court to simply set us down for a motion date where we can address those issues with the indictment, and then we would move forward with arraignment on that date if the court is so inclined.
Court will do that. Motions hearings will be scheduled soon, and we'll set aside time to address the several issues, that as well as other motions as well.
Thank you.
Okay. turning now to arraignment. Ms. Walker, does your client waive formal reading of the indictment?
Well, Judge, I think we may be doing that at that motion hearing. We can do it all together. We're just concerned about waiving for arguments as to the mirrors that we've already filed. So if we could move forward with arraignment at that motion stage rather than today.
What the court is willing to do is preserve your
Understood, Your Honor.
your right to demur at this point. I would like to move forward with
Okay,
arraignment.
absolutely, Your Honor. And yes, so we would waive formal reading of the indictment.
All right.
And Ms. Simon would be entering her plea of not guilty on the case and demanding a jury trial. But of course, we have motions hearings to come.
Very, very true.
All right, and Your Honor, Ms. Simon not have signed my name is the indictment. She was formal.
All right, very well. Motion date to come.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Walker. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Leilani Simon, she stood there before the judge with 3 defense attorneys and was denied. She wanted bond. She wanted the opportunity to be free and be with her other young children, a 9-month-old girl and a 4-year-old boy, that she doesn't have custody of. They argued. She's not a flight risk. Being a person of interest, she stayed in Savannah and she didn't try to flee. She's desperate to leave jail. Leilani faces 19 charges. Some include malice murder, felony murder, filing false police reports, and concealing the death of her 20-month-old son, Quentin. Leilani has been accused of dumping her son in a Buckholter Road mobile home park on October 5th. She reported her son missing from his grandmother's home, Billy Joe Betterton, who also uses the last name Howell, who also has custody of Quentin. Billy Joe had filed for an eviction on her daughter and her boyfriend on September 26, just a week before Quentin was missing. In Georgia, you have to evict someone if they have been in your home for a certain amount of time. I think it's 30 to 60 days. Or if they receive mail there, you have to do an eviction to make it legal, so you won't have any problems. If you call the police on them, they will have to leave. Leilani's boyfriend, who was living there, told investigators that he had woke up at 6 a.m. and remember seeing Quentin on October 5th. Leilani says the last time she had seen Quentin, he was in the playpen. She reported him missing at 9:39 a.m. Now, this boyfriend is not the biological father. The father's name is Henry Moss Jr. It's reported that he was nowhere around Quentin when he disappeared. Henry Moss Jr. has also lost his son, his mother, and his father. They all died in tragic ways not too long after one another. So he's really going through a lot. It's reported that night of October 5th, Leilani had actually left and went to go meet her drug dealer. And she may have beat him while on drugs. Now, these articles say that there was a blunt force object that was used, but they are not saying what it was or where this information had either came from. So, on that, it is alleged. And as of this video, they haven't even said why this has even happened. Leilani's mother believes that Quentin may have drowned while he was being given a bath while Leilani was high. And instead of calling 911, trying to get someone to perform CPR, instead they just put this plan together and just discarded this body of this baby. Leilani was actually in some type of rehab and signed herself out. This was, I believe, after the disappearance of Quentin. I'm not quite sure when, but she was in a rehab. She didn't stay long. So this is more confirmation that there is a lot of drug use around this child, or was around this child. And 6 weeks later, his skeletal remains was found in that dumpster. And Leilani Simon, she was arrested on November 21st, 2022. Billy Joe Howe was arrested 2 weeks later, and she was booked into Chatham County Detention Center for contempt of court. It was not anything that had anything to do with Quentin. While Howe was in that detention center, she had on a suicide prevention smock. And articles are stating that her arrest was because she was in contempt of court. I read it was other charges, past charges of something else. So this is another tragic case out of Georgia where things are just, it seems it's going to be a lot here. I've read that they're comparing this case to Casey Anthony's case. I hope not, because we all know that Casey Anthony, she got off. She got off because she threw her parents under the bus, her brother under the bus, and nobody said anything. And it wasn't that her attorney, Paul Baez, was so good. No, it was just that the people that was defending Casey was so bad. That's my beliefs of it. And that's why she got off. She did not get off because she was innocent. Everyone knows that she did this, including her parents. And she got off because no one really spoke up for Kaylee like they should have. And hopefully that will not be happening with Quentin. And we knew how much Cindy loved Kaylee. We knew that. And as soon as it got down to the situation where she knew her daughter was going to be put in prison, it's like she just didn't say much of anything. She just watched, and it was horrible. So hopefully it doesn't go in that direction. And hopefully Quentin, he will get justice. Justice for Quentin Simon.
That interview was almost a month ago, and it was the only time that I've ever spoken with Leilani. That was on October 24th. And when I did that interview, Chatham County Police had already said that they believed Quentin was dead, had named Leilani their sole suspect, and had started searching a local landfill for Quentin's remains. In that interview, Leilani never outright stated whether she was guilty or innocent. She maintained that she was broken up over Quentin's death and disappearance, visibly crying both when the camera was on and when it was off. However, she said if it came out that she had anything to do with Quentin's disappearance, she would turn herself into the police.
I'm here, I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station.
3.5 weeks after making that statement, Leilani was arrested.